Hello, I'm Tim. Welcome to my channel. This is my fourth attempt at recording this video. Right, this is a video response to Cara, Cute Witch 772, of the Pagan Perspective and of the channel Cute Witch 772. She made a video called Critique is Necessary, Negativity is Not, in response to someone else. I don't know who they are. I can't keep going back in the chain, but I did want to respond to Cara's video just to slightly reinforce something she said on about a third of her points. We really need video responses to come back to YouTube properly. So she briefly talked, not briefly, she talked about it very, very well, as I just want to mention it briefly. She talked about the idea that criticism is essentially just a form of evaluation. You're pointing out good things, bad things, how things could be improved, and blah 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 blah. You can do that in a bad way, in a mean way, in a negative way. You can do it in a positive way. Constructive criticism, deconstructive criticism. If you're being constructive, you will say, I like that because of this, this and this, or I liked how you did that particular thing, or this aspect of that was good, for example. You could maybe improve this by doing that kind of thing. And that kind of criticism is good, and that kind of self-criticism is good, and being self-aware enough to be able to do that to yourself, that is good. Saying, didn't like that, isn't useful. In fact, saying, I liked that, isn't useful. And she talks about this as well, the fact that just saying nice things doesn't mean they're useful, and often saying bad things isn't useful. Criticism, I think, is almost always useful from the point of view of gathering data. Even if someone's being mean, if they're actually being critical while also being mean, you may feel bad, but at least you're going to get some information out of it. At least to see that that's where someone's opinion of what you're doing may be seen as negative. You get other people's points of view in a way that is more than just, that was crap. You actually get some sort of feedback that you might be able to work on. The obvious one at the moment being movies where maybe actors are bringing politics into the mix, and lots of fans are saying, well, actually, I didn't like that you brought that politics in because it made us feel a certain way, it made you look a certain way to this large portion of the audience, and then if those particular people, Brie Larson, decide they wanted to respond by acting differently in the future, they could. If they decided they didn't want to, then fair enough. Moving on. So self-improvement is reliant on being critical, at least of yourself. I came from a very atheistic background, personally, myself. I put myself in that direction. I've had a history of being, I am still, I'm working on it, but at least I'm self-aware. I'm very arrogant, and have been much more arrogant than I currently am. Becoming pagan has been a very humbling experience, and I think is taking some of the edge off. I was incredibly judgmental, and I knew the correct thing. I felt that I could apply my knowledge, my real knowledge of science and the way the physical world works, to every situation. I felt that my high IQ, and it is high, just automatically gave me the upper hand in every discussion and argument, which it doesn't. That's not how IQ works. My brain is good at working things through if they are based purely on logic and what you can see with your eyes and read in a book and believe. But it doesn't always help if you're dealt with things, when you're dealing with things that aren't so easy, black and white, algorithmic type situations like people and trust and friendship. So I always knew in the back of my head that the way I thought and my approach to life and the way I was thinking wasn't necessarily completely correct, because I knew that I wasn't good with people. I knew that I wasn't necessarily the most trusting person in the world. So somewhere in the back of my head there must have been this little thought that actually, no, Tim, you don't know everything. But again, when I do know something, again, about the natural world, I very much know it. And as I've talked about in my last video for the Pagan Perspective, linked down below, I proportionately, essentially, have blinded myself in one eye, metaphorically. In the sense that entering the pagan world, there's so much that I don't understand and I don't know and that I'm having to learn. And I'm starting from this almost infantile position of needing to be taught lots of things and feel lots of things and learn lots of things for myself for the first time, and do lots of self-reflection and meditation and all that kind of stuff. And where am I going? Being self-critical. It's been a massive thing for me over this last year, and my internal view of the outside is, I think, massively different than what it was. In the Muggle world, I'm still an arrogant prick, basically, quite a lot of the time. But I think that the edge is being taken off of that, and I am trying to improve. And hopefully these videos will help me to be able to speak through my ideas and soften up on those things as well. And this goes on to the next part I wanted to talk about, which was mental health and being told we shouldn't talk about it because that's what makes it happen. Being self-critical and looking at self-improvement means wanting to be the best version of you can be. Wanting to be the best version of you generally means being alive. If you look at the number of women using mental health services, the proportion of men to women, the number of women using mental health services, way higher than men, massively higher. You would be forgiven for thinking that women are the only ones with mental health issues. You then look at suicide rates. Men's are way, way, way higher than women. No one who has good mental health kills themselves outside of movies where kill yourself or the wife gets it, that doesn't happen. Suicide is someone who has some kind of mental health issue. Always. Almost always. No, I'll say always. There's a kind of a mental health issue there when you kill yourself. Men are killing themselves because they have mental health issues, which they're not accessing help for. It's available as much as it's available for the women, but they're not accessing it. Men have been taught that they don't talk about their feelings, they don't talk about their problems. It's people who say that you don't talk about your problems because that's being too negative. Those are the people who are reinforcing the idea to men then, especially because women have always been emotional and tired and all that kind of stuff, and women talking about their problems with each other, fine, that's what women do. I'm talking stereotypes, but this is an issue that I'm slightly passionate about. Men aren't to show their feelings. So as much as this person is saying that no one should show their feelings, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to guess, they would have an even bigger problem with men showing their feelings, because men are supposed to be strong, stiff upper lip, man up, hold it in, big boys don't cry, all that stuff. I had a lot of issues last year. I went through a bit of a breakdown. I had several months off work and eventually just left my job. I didn't have a new job to go to, I just couldn't stay in that job anymore. I left that job. I didn't have a new one to go to. I'm in a position now where I'm much happier with my work situation. I'm temping and I can take time when I need to and all that kind of stuff. I'm earning a bit less, but I'm much, much happier. Not everyone has the ability to do that. Not everyone who's in a stressful situation can get out of that situation. I had people I could talk to. It was only when I started talking about it that I started to get that help. Now I'm medicated for it as well. That's obviously going to have, I'm assuming, some kind of benefit. I very much doubt they would be giving me the pills if they weren't doing something. But I know that talking about it definitely helped. The idea that you make things worse by talking about them is utterly bullshit and backwards. It's Victorian thinking. It's the kind of thinking that had women being put into mental homes, mental institutions. Think Arkham Asylum, for getting involved in politics and being sad after they have a baby. They used to get put in mental homes. They would be committed. This is less than 100 years ago. That's not useful. And it all ties in. Criticism criticising yourself, others, allows us all to become better people, if done in a kind way. And we should criticise each other. We shouldn't be afraid of criticising each other where the other person does something in a way that is incorrect. I don't like being wrong, for example. Doesn't mean that I have to always be right. But it certainly means that if I am wrong, and I'm told I'm wrong, I would rather know why I'm wrong. Because if I know definitely why I'm wrong with evidence, I can improve next time. I like being told I'm wrong and being given proof that I'm wrong, because then I won't be wrong next time. If I'm acting in a way that suggests that I'm feeling I'm having a bad week or a bad day, I would rather be told. If I'm acting in an erratic way that might suggest there's an issue, I'd rather be told, because I want to see that improvement. You can't go around being so soft that you can't take any criticism whatsoever, regardless of the intent with which it's being delivered. Because the intent does matter. Yes, if you're having a bad day and someone tells you they think you're having a bad day and you know you're having a bad day and you snap at them, well, yeah, there's a situation, in those kind of situations, the person giving the criticism needs to be understanding of the fact that you're going to snap at them. But on the same note, you need to take on board the fact that someone did notice, I believe. It's the way I would like to be treated. Was it the golden rule? Treat others as you would have them treat you, or something? So yeah, criticism can always be done in a good way. It is not always bad, and doesn't always have to be negative. You should always criticise yourself and seek to improve yourself and grow as a human being. Oh, and talk about your feelings. Talk about your problems, because it's important. Yeah, that's about it. Still ended up being a long video. Okay, that's almost 13 minutes. So, Cara, that's extra. That's my take. Hopefully I didn't repeat what you said too often, too much even. As I've said, feel free to tell me in the comments, or not, or chime in. If anyone thinks that I've said something that's incorrect or wrong, you've got a different opinion, feel free to share that as well. Goodbye and blessed be.